Friends, did you know that sometimes an ordinary coin sitting in your pocket can actually be worth thousands of dollars? That's right! Hidden inside the 1994 and 1995 Canadian dollars are secrets that make them far more than just pieces of metal. These coins are witnesses of time, history, and rare minting errors. Treasures that collectors consider nothing less than a gold mine. Today, we're going to uncover the fascinating aspects of these remarkable coins. But before we move forward, a small request. If you want to keep discovering rare coins and hidden treasures, make sure to subscribe to USAOLDCOINs. Don't forget to tell us in the comments which coins you have in your collection, so our next search can be on your coins. And if you enjoy this video, please like and share it. Your support motivates us to bring you even more amazing discoveries. So now, let's step into the world of Canadian coinage and explore what makes these coins truly special. Friends, stop for a moment. The coin in front of you is not just an ordinary Canadian 1994 quarter dollar 25 cents. Hidden within it are rare errors, unusual mint variations, and secret details that make it worth thousands of dollars to collectors worldwide. Canadian coins have always been admired for their quality and elegant designs, but the 1994 quarter stands out from the rest because during this time, the Royal Canadian Mint introduced new striking techniques, proof-like additions, and limited sets that resulted in extraordinary anomalies and collectible rarities. On the obverse, you see the classic portrait of Queen Elizabeth II, and on the reverse, the famous caribou design that represents Canadian wildlife, but the true treasure lies in the small, unusual details that most people overlook. Collectors have discovered multiple die crack errors in 1994 quarters, leaving thin raised lines across the coin's surface, and several pieces struck off center, mistakes that rarely happen and become instant collector's gems. Some coins also show double die errors, where words like Canada, Elizabeth II, or even the date 1994 appear doubled, creating extreme demand and selling for $1,000 or more at auction. Other coins came with clipped planchet errors, showing missing edges or extra metal, making them even more unique. On top of that, proof-like and special mint sets issued in 1994 were produced in limited quantities, giving these coins an additional premium value thanks to their shine, crisp details, and rarity. If you own a 1994 quarter, look at it under magnification. Check if there's doubling on the letters, misalignment in the strike, or unusual edge clipping, and especially confirm if your coin is from a proof set, because those are significantly more valuable. Historical auction records prove the demand. A rare off-center strike sold for over $500. A dramatic double die error reached $1,200, and even proof sets still sell between $50 and $200 depending on condition, with high-grade or rare error examples going much higher. The coin collecting market has grown massively over the past 25 to 30 years. A coin that might have been worth only a few dollars in the 1990 South can now be sold for thousands, and experts believe the value of such rare Canadian coins will continue to climb as time goes on. For beginners, this quarter is the perfect entry point into collecting because it combines rich history, an iconic design, and a wide variety of error types. And if you ever come across a truly rare strike, it could easily become the crown jewel of your collection. To preserve value, always store coins in protective holders or capsules to avoid scratches, fingerprints, and moisture damage. And if you believe your coin is rare, send it to a trusted grading service such as PCGS or ICCS. Certification not only protects the coin but also multiplies its market value by proving its authenticity to serious buyers. Remember, collectors don't just want coins. They want condition, rarity, and history combined. That is why the 1994 Canadian quarter is not just valuable in Canada, but also sought after across the globe. International collectors prize Canadian coins because of their purity, designs, and high minting standards, and those with rare errors or limited mintages are considered the most desirable. Some experts predict that in the next 10 to 20 years, the value of Canadian proof-like and error coins could skyrocket, as a new generation of collectors is beginning to treat them as serious investments. In conclusion, the 1994 Canadian quarter dollar is not just a piece of change, it's a historic turning point and a collectible treasure. Every unusual strike, every doubling, every die crack, and every proof-like shine could be the clue that leads you to a hidden fortune worth thousands of dollars. So if you have a 1994 Canadian quarter sitting in your collection, don't ignore it. Examine it carefully, because you may be holding a hidden gem, a holy grail for collectors, and a coin that could one day be worth a small fortune. Now we turn to the 1995 Canadian quarter dollar, a coin where even the smallest anomaly on its surface can carry the potential of being worth thousands of dollars to collectors. Let's begin with the design. On the obverse is the portrait of Queen Elizabeth II, created in the 1990s by Dora de Petteryhunt. This portrait became a dignified and timeless representation in Canadian coinage, symbolizing both the monarch's authority and the heritage of the Commonwealth. On the reverse, we find the classic caribou design, which has been the hallmark of Canadian quarters since 1937, but this isn't just an image of an animal. The caribou stands as a powerful symbol of Canada's wilderness, strength, and endurance. For Canadians, this design has always held a special place, as the caribou represents the natural beauty and resilience of the northern landscapes. But friends, the year 1995 holds a very special place in Canadian coinage history, not just because of its design, but because of the production anomalies that turned ordinary circulation coins into extraordinary collectibles. In this year, the Royal Canadian Mint introduced several modernization steps in its production process, such as high-speed presses, automated planchet feed systems, and advanced die polishing techniques. All of this was meant to improve efficiency, but ironically, these very experiments gave rise to a series of rare minting mistakes that today are considered treasures by collectors. When we talk about errors, the first to mention are die crack errors. Due to heavy pressure or wear, the die sometimes developed cracks, which transferred to the coin's surface as raised lines. These cracks could stretch from the rim all the way through the letters, or even spread across the caribou's horns and body. Each crack creates a unique pattern, and that uniqueness is what makes these coins valuable. Some collectors even refer to die cracks as lightning bolts or veins because of their dramatic appearance on the surface. Next come the off-center strikes, which are always the most visually dramatic errors. Here the entire design is struck off its proper alignment. Sometimes half of the caribou's face or antlers are cut off at the rim, and other times a whole portion of the coin remains completely blank. Coins like this are considered jackpots by collectors because they have instant eye appeal and rarity. Then we arrive at the double die errors, which are among the most in-demand varieties in the collecting world. Some 1995 quarters show doubling on the word Canada and even on the 1995 date digits. The doubling can be very minor, visible only under a loupe, or it can be bold enough to see with the naked eye. Those bold doubling examples have sold for premium prices, with some auction records reporting values of over $1,000 USD. Another variety is the clipped planchet error. This happens when the cutting machine fails to punch the planchet in a perfect circle, leaving the coin with a bite mark cut along its rim. Several 1995 clipped planchet quarters have appeared on the market, and each one is unique, which is why collectors chase them. Equally fascinating are the struck-through errors. During striking, if grease, dust, or a foreign object gets between the die and the planchet. It leaves strange depressions or blank spots on the coin's surface. Some 1995 quarters show parts of the Queen's portrait missing, while others have a caribou that looks mushy or faint. These errors are particularly appealing to collectors because they reveal the hidden, behind-the-scenes stories of minting. We should also highlight die clash errors, which occur when the obverse and reverse dies strike each other without a planchet in between. Their designs partially imprint onto one another. Later, when coins are struck, faint outlines from the opposite die appear on the surface. In some 1995 quarters, faint lines from the caribou's antlers have even been spotted on the obverse. These clash marks are not only rare but also visually fascinating. Moving on to proof-like and special mint set coins. Both were released in 1995 with limited mintage, which has kept their demand strong ever since. These coins came with extraordinary shine and crisp details, and many collectors regard them as museum-quality pieces. Today, examples in pristine condition can sell from $50 to $200, and if they're uncirculated and certified in high grades, their value can be significantly higher. Another technical aspect worth mentioning is planchet quality. Some 1995 quarters show lamination flaws, where the metal surface begins to peel away or where raised bubble-like spots appear. Each lamination error is completely distinct, making them one-of-a-kind pieces highly sought after in the collector community. From a market perspective, the demand for 1995 quarters has extended far beyond Canada. U.S. collectors often buy Canadian quarters as sister currency collectibles due to the close economic and cultural ties between the two countries. Meanwhile, international collectors from Europe and Asia are drawn to the caribou design, which symbolizes Canadian wilderness and strength. Auction records show that U.S. bidders frequently drive prices higher on Canadian error coins because they want to add more variety to their collections. When it comes to grading, companies like ICCS, PCGS, and NGC have certified 1995 quarters in various grades. High-grade examples in NS65 or NS66 always bring strong premiums, largely because most coins from that year were heavily circulated and worn down. Census reports show that surviving high-grade examples are scarce, and that scarcity pushes them into the rarity category. Collectors especially prefer slabbed coins, since certified pieces always hold stronger resale value and inspire greater confidence in international markets. Now let's talk about collector psychology and market dynamics. You see, coin collecting isn't just about numismatics, it's also about an emotional and historical connection. When a 1995 Canadian quarter falls into the hands of a collector, they don't see just a piece of metal. They see a reflection of Canada's mid-1990s social and economic era. This was a time when the country's currency was undergoing modernization. Minting techniques were evolving, and public interest in collectibles was on the rise. For collectors, errors always create excitement, and the psychology behind that excitement is fascinating. A normal coin might circulate in the millions, but when a rare anomaly appears, that coin instantly becomes a kind of chosen one. This rarity factor is what pulls collectors in. The error varieties of the 1995 quarter gave exactly that sense of uniqueness, and that's why their auction value has continued to rise steadily. Speaking of auctions, there are numerous records showing just how impressive the prices for 1995 error quarters have been. A dramatic off-center strike quarter sold for nearly 700 Canadian dollars. A bold double die obverse example achieved around $1,200 CAD. Clipped planchet errors usually sell in the $150, $300 CAD range, but when found in high grade, the value can climb even higher. Another important aspect is the coin survival rate. While millions of quarters were minted in 1995, Error coins were always limited to begin with, and of those millions, the vast majority went into circulation, where they became heavily worn or were eventually lost. This means that both high-grade survivors and rare error examples are now scarce, and that scarcity drives collector demand even further. Beyond grading, provenance plays a huge role. If a coin was part of a certified sale through a well-known auction house, its historical value increases significantly. Many collectors are even willing to pay double for such coins because they're not just buying the coin, they're buying the story that comes with it. One fascinating detail about the 1995 quarters is the confusion between machine doubling and true hub doubling. Machine doubling is far less valuable, yet beginners often mistake it for a premium variety. For experienced collectors, distinguishing between the two is critical, and that's why grading company certification carries so much importance. From a global perspective, the 1995 quarter holds strong appeal. U.S. collectors often see Canadian quarters as sister currency collectibles, thanks to the historical ties between the two countries. Meanwhile, European and Asian collectors are drawn to the caribou design, which represents Canadian wilderness and strength, symbols that fascinate collectors worldwide. Looking at it from an investment angle, the 1995 Canadian quarters have shown a steady upward trend. Rare error coins have appreciated anywhere from 5% to 12% per year, especially in slabbed and certified conditions.